Hi everyone, my name is Ties and this week's Kennisclips will evolve around the topic of participant recruitment. In this first clip, we will talk about the two things that are absolutely essential to prepare before talking to your potential research participants. Let's have a look. Here we have it, an excellent research question and research plan, approved by all funders, committees and supervisors. At this point, you probably know so much about your topic that you can comfortably explain the scientific and societal relevance of your work to any colleague or student out there. However, communicating about science to peers is not the same as communicating to potential research participants. Research participants have different interests and different concerns about your study than fellow researchers. A fellow researcher might ask, how will you address this bias? Whereas a potential participant might ask, what is your address if we want to try this? Most psychology graduates, who have usually been both participants in studies as well as researchers in studies, might recognize this distinction. Before going out to talk to people on the streets, it is incredibly helpful to first translate your formal research proposal to informal, everyday conversational bits that last as long as a checkout in the supermarket or a ride on the elevator. So how would you explain your study to the guy or girl next door, or to whoever matches your inclusion and exclusion criteria? And what question or response could they possibly have to your story? It is important to think this through carefully on forehand to make for pleasant and effective conversations. Before speaking to any potential research participant, make sure to do these two things first. 1. Practice how a conversation would go if someone is 100% positive about participating. Imagine finding the perfect research participant who is willing and able to participate. What will you be saying throughout the conversation? From your opening lines to the point where you arrange an active follow-up, such as a meeting at the lab or a later telephone call. Also make sure to inform your participant of all practicalities regarding their participation. Ideally, you should be able to dream this, because you might be recruiting under new and noisy circumstances, and you rather use your attention to anticipate questions and responses. And 2. Prepare answers to frequently asked questions. These are usually practical in nature, but might also reflect possible concerns people might have, or maybe broader questions about how things work in science or the university. Some of these questions are in fact objections to research participation. This may require more conversational skills than just the knowledge about your research project. More about that in our other Kennisclips. If you prepare these two things, you give yourself a great advantage when starting the actual recruitment activities, and it will also prevent some awkward, perhaps even unprofessional social interactions. Non-verbal communication is so important in establishing a connection, and this will naturally go much better if your verbal communication comes out smoothly. Also, preparing these two things in advance will prevent you from having to learn this the hard way during recruitment itself, and possibly miss out on potential research participants because you stutter or black out or forget important details. Fortunately, this Kennisclip will help you make an excellent first impression on potential research participants. Keep at heart that those who forget to prepare to be forgotten. Let's look at 3 examples of opening statements that introduce your research project when you are chit-chatting to potential research participants. I study brain development in children and adolescents. Every day we receive families in our lab to do games and tasks about the brain, and they usually have a great time. Would you perhaps like to come visit us too? Many young people struggle with anxiety issues. I'm investigating ways to make it easier for young people to deal with this. Would you be willing to talk to me about your experiences for like 45 minutes at some suitable point in time? I study how parents and adolescents handle conflicts at home. We simply do this by sending a questionnaire through email, and after we get it back, we transfer participants €10. Would you be willing to help me out here? The key is to start very small and keep adding relevant information as the conversation continues, depending on the responses that you will receive. Eventually, you will notice that all important information can be transferred naturally to potential participants in a conversation that you partly thought out in advance. Like this, recruitment activities can serve as a nice way to get to know people, share expectations, and provide customized help and information to all. I will now leave you to the exercises in which you start making these preparations for your very own research project. I wish you the best of luck, and please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions. Pause the video anytime you like or click at one of our other Kennisclips. Succes!